Let me tell you something right now. I tell people all the time if I like you in real life and if I don't. If I don't like you in real life, I will not be rude about it. I will be any kind of disrespectful. But if I do like you in real life, you can always slide into my DMs. That's cool. You can ask me questions or anything. And yes, I will send you a mug. I got you,
Oh,
boo.
look at
Don't worry
God.
about it.
Look
And
at
you know
God.
what? These mugs are not public release. I only give them out as gifts to guests.
Really? Yeah.
Yes, I give them out as gifts to certain guests. I did a gift to my guest who did the Met Gala episode with me last year when we talked about the Met Gala, and I think I gave my mom a mug because it's my mama. It's
I
my
mean,
mom.
the parents always got to get the first, okay?
You
They
know,
got to get
but I will send you a mug. I'll see if I can get the script style one, or it might just be the regular font that's easier to read. But either way,
Yes.
you get one.
Oh, I'm gonna use it too, girl, and I'm gonna tag you. I love a good tease, so I'll be like,
Thank you.
here's
Because
where I got it.
somebody was like, what inspired you to make a pink mug? I said, you know what? Things live in my head. And I go, I need a gimmick. Not a gimmick, but I need something that when people see it, they know it's time for the show.
Yes.
And when you see the
That
pink
reminds
mug,
me, yeah, no, it's giving like on brand. It reminds me of like Wendy Williams. You know how Wendy Williams, she had her mug?
don't make me cry on my own show. She
I
was one of
know.
my favorite people. I used to schedule my college classes around Wendy Williams. I lie to you not.
Yes.
And even today, my mom even told me when she was watching the latest episode of the pod, she said,
Hmm.
you were so Wendy Williams coded. And I was like, Mom, thank you.
Yeah, the biggest compliment.
That's the biggest compliment. Because, like, she was like, the way you were moving and doing all this, and she's like, that was definitely Wendy. I was like, oh,
Very much coded in Wendy. Like
uh,
you went to the Wendy Williams school,
I sure
okay?
did. And I've been to her show 4 times.
What?
Yes, I went to her show. So I've been watching Wendy since day one. And
Hmm.
then I have also attended the show as an audience member 4 times. And
That
mind
is
you, Justine, this is before I even knew what a podcast was, when I was still in college, when I was still trying to get my start in marketing, trying to figure out my journey myself. And I always admired how she had journalistic integrity with the work that she did, but was still entertaining in a way that spoke to her audience. And when I started the pod, even though at first I was trying to be like everybody else and all serious or whatever,
right.
when I started relaxing and showing up as myself, that coded energy started pulling through more and more. And that's when I
Yes.
started seeing like an uptick in like listens. And I was like, oh, and this is before I did video. I was like, oh, people like me. And then when I
Yeah.
introduced video, I was like, oh,
They really like me. They coming to see me.
who coming to see you? Oh, it's me.
Right, okay.
Who they came to see? Me.
See? Come on, B. Come on, B.
Who also is one of my other influences, Beyonce, because if I do something, I want to do it
Yeah.
right. And I always
Hmm.
have notes for myself. I always say, when you're creating your content, think like an editor. When you're consuming your
Mm.
content, think like a consumer. What would you want the consumer to
Mm.
walk away with? How do you want your audience to connect with what you're doing and what you're bringing to the table?
That's good. That's
Thank
good.
you. Oh, you just like made my day. But anyway,
Girl, I be yes, because I be watching you. I'm like,
I've been watching you too,
when,
sis.
girl, when you walk up with your mug and you're like, you say what? Sometimes you'll be like, I need the beehive to the front of the room. Like, it's just like, it's like the best stuff. And it always catches me. You know, TikTok, they always say, oh, you need a hook, you need a hook.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you be coming with them hooks. And I be like, what's she talking about?
But let's go ahead and read your wonderful resume. And y'all who are watching and listening at home, let me be mindful of this. So, as I said in the show introduction before Justine jumped on, I have been following her for quite a while. I am a supporter of her work and I believe in her creativity. So, getting to, I guess, virtually meet in real life, I'm super excited because when good people end up being who I think they are in their head, it just brings me so much joy.
Yes.
It really does. I'm like,
Okay.
yay. So let's go ahead and read your resume. I know it's called a resume. I know.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Okay,
I
what's
like to put a
that?
little fancy spin on things. Some
That you did it with that.
thank you,
You
sis.
did it with that. I was like, what's that?
Resume. Your
I like that. Yes. Good
All
one.
right. So Justine Mangum Kirkman's artistic journey is a testament to her dedication, creativity, and passion for empowering others through art. As an artist, content creator, and owner
Period.
Winnie Weston LLC. Her company, by the way, was created at the height of the pandemic, and it was a way to lean back into her creative self and named after her late grandfather, Carl Weston Winfield. She has established herself as a prominent figure, aka that girl, in the illustration industry, particularly with her vibrant and bold colors, trendy patterns, and expressive characters that celebrate diversity and inclusivity. Through collaboration, and this is when we get into the receipts, y'all. Through collaborations with renowned brands like Adobe, L'Oreal, and Ulta Beauty, Justine has been able to showcase her unique style for a wider audience, while her artwork being available at Target and other retailers further solidifies her mission to inspire and empower through creativity. Her commitment to pushing boundaries and promoting a sense of belonging is evident in every piece that she creates, reflecting her unwavering dedication to both her craft and community of over light flex 70K followers
Okay.
collectively. Okay. Beyond her artistic endeavors as a lifestyle content creator and UGC, that means original content, y'all, if you did not know what UGC is.
Mhm.
UGC, Justine collaborates with various brands such as Alibaba.com, Sun Chips, Bath and Body Works, Olipop, Dial, Kind Patches, and more to review products, produce, hauls, and tutorials, showcasing her versatility and influence in the digital sphere. Her ability to connect with her audience through social media, such as lifestyle, beauty vlogs, and share her creative process, like when she taught us how to do curls in an illustration video. You ate with
Yeah.
that one, sis.
Thank you,
You're
girl.
welcome. It invites others to explore their own artistic potential, embodying the essence of resilience and joy in every brushstroke. Justine's impact on the world and the art world specifically is profound, to her vibrant illustrations and advocacy for representation serving as a source of inspiration for many. Her story is one of perseverance and passion, where her colorful creations serve as a reminder of the transformative power of art in changing world for the better. And with that being said, welcome to Coffee with Yvonne. Justine!
Woo! Hey, everybody. Hey, girl. Hey.
Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Getting started with the interview, which we kind of had like a mini interview before the interview, but this is the
We did.
official start. When
Yeah.
did you realize you had a passion for art?
Yeah, so I think it started when I was really young. My parents have done such a great job at like just really celebrating the arts. My dad, he plays piano. He played in church. He still plays in church. My mom, she's a writer. And so, yeah, so we've always been surrounded by just creatives. They're creatives, but also creativity. So whether it was the movies, television shows, music, books we read, it was just very much centered around the arts. When I was younger, I'll never forget, you know, when you're younger in elementary school, they always say, like, oh, like one day dress up as what you want to be when you grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I dressed up as an artist. I had like my dad's big old, you know, button down
Yeah,
shirt.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And like the rolled up sleeves, trying to look like Bob Ross, the black Bob Ross,
yeah.
you know. And so I did that. And yeah, I've always just gravitated to it. I've always loved like just the artists that were back then. So like an Ellis Wilson who did the funeral procession for that was featured in the Cosby Show.
Mm-hmm.
The artist who did the work for the show Good Times.
Mm-hmm.
Just always like really, I don't know, interested in that world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how it started for me. At the same time, I am like really big on loving Barbie. And yes,
I
which
love
is why
Barbie.
I was looking at that pink mug. Like,
Oh,
I like a good pink mug.
period.
Yes, period. And so because of that, even Barbie and fashion illustrations and things like that that I would see back then, I really wanted to do eventually when I got older. Or matter of fact, I wish I had it even back then when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we had Barbies. We had some black Barbies, but it wasn't what it is today. And so I think when you combine all of that, that's kind of that solidified my love for art. But yeah, it started way back in the day.
And I love that you say that because like it's a similar story for me as well because my mom is a creative by nature. I call her the Black Martha Stewart. She
Oh yes,
I lie to you not, Justine. My mom, funny story. When I was little, she saw this nightstand by a dumpster. This nightstand looked like it'd been through hell and back, right? My mom looked
Mhm.
at it and said, "Oh, I could redo that nightstand." I was like, "What you gonna do to this nightstand?"
Right. Okay.
And
On the side of
so
the road.
right. And so she like took it and she like stripped it, sanded it down, and then she took porcelain and broke it into pieces and made it into like a top overlay. That's how creative my mother is, on top of the fact that she crochets. You telling that story, I just love how for black creatives when we're allowed to fully lean into who we are and it's accepted because like sometimes we're seeing our creativity as a hobby and not
Right.
a career journey and you
Right.
find so many folks who had a natural gift but were told to do something that was more traditional and
Mm.
now they're looking at people like you and I whose parents foster their creativity and allow them to be a little weird and a little
Yes.
quirky and use their imagination and now it's paying off because we were able to be our true selves and show up as our
Yep.
true selves. So for you, how did you transition from creating art as a passion to now making it a business? Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. And just to speak to what you said before, that is so important. Sometimes I'll have mothers say to me, like, oh, my daughter's into art. How can I help to, foster that love that she has? And I always tell them, just invest in her. Like
Mhm.
whether you are getting the sketchbook for her or the paintbrush, or whether you're just supporting her and just speaking life into her dreams, like that's the best way to do it, and that's exactly what my parents did, and I know your mom did. So it is such a blessing when you have parents who just let you be your authentic self, and give you the space to like figure that out. So it's actually funny because in 2016, I well, yeah, 2016, I had just moved back from New York. I was working at Essence Magazine at the time.
Oh, I
Yes,
love Essence.
yes, I was in New York. I was working at Essence, and then I always knew that I did want to eventually get my master's in something, and I
Hmm.
thought it would be best to get it where I'm from, so in the DMV area. Hey, hey, hey,
Wait,
hey.
wait, which DMV are you? Are you D, M, or V? Which one are you?
I'm in the V.
Okay, I'm in the
I'm in the
M.
V.
It's
Okay,
okay. It's
okay.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm a PG County girly, so you know.
Okay, perfect. People hate to hate on. They love to hate on the V and the M. I swear,
I know
like
they do.
they every time you tell them, "Oh, I can have an event on my house," and they're like, "Oh, where?" The V. No, they have to love you to come out. So
They do.
like,
Now, I ain't gonna cap you though, Justine. I ain't gonna cap you. It depends on where in the V you located. Because if you're in the
that's
V,
true.
past like a Tyson's, we gotta talk.
That's true. Well, I am from like born in Fairfax,
Okay,
raised in Manassas slash Woodbridge.
so you on the cusp.
I'm on the
You
cusp,
on the cusp.
but for a long time I did live in Arlington and Alexandria
Okay,
before we moved to Georgia. So I'm still up in
but
there.
you a DMV girly though, so you
Yes,
understand. Okay, we protect at all
period.
costs.
We do. So it's funny when I moved back, I like started painting, because I was looking for a job.
Hmm.
Also trying to figure out what school I wanted to go to get my master's. And Um, and I was telling my friends, like, man, I think I'm going to open up an Etsy shop and name it Liz and Doris off of my two grandmothers. And then life happened. I went to school and eventually found myself working in PR at Edelman. And then eventually I found
Oh,
myself, yeah, being a recruiter at the Atlantic. And so, yes, I've had 9 lives, child.
girl, but the background is giving though.
I've
It's
had nine.
giving.
I've had 9 lives. I
Oh
swear.
wow.
I've had 9 lives. Like, what the world? So, my boyfriend at the time, my husband now, I remember when I was working as a talent recruiter and I was telling him, like, man, I just feel like I'm just like a corporate girl. Like, I don't know, I just feel like the creativity just kind of sucked out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, just do what you want to do, like, paint and draw. So he got me a sketchbook. One of the gifts for my Valentine's was a sketchbook. And from there, it helped me to get back into being creative, doing what I love, experimenting, and from there, I decided to hold myself accountable, start an Instagram page just for Winnie Weston. Because, when you start to do like post online and you tell people your plans,
Mm-hmm.
people really will hold you to it and be like, what about that
Yep.
shop you said that you
Uh-huh.
want to open?
Uh-huh.
And so fast forward, I end up selling it, and I don't know why I did it. I guess in that moment, I started to make money through working with brands.
Mm-hmm.
And then people were reaching out to me and saying, oh my gosh, I want to buy this print, that print. Do you have it available? And so that was my way of like, okay, I had talked about creating an Etsy shop back in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm here in 2020 and people are legit asking me for my work. I need to, have my own shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed the name from Liz and Doris to Winnie Weston because my grandfather had passed away in 2020. And so I wanted to do it in honor of him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how it happened. It was an interesting path
Like
that
your
got
own
me.
path, yeah.
Yes, it truly was. It truly was.
I love that because like it shows that the intent was always there. And shout out to your husband for supporting your creative journey because people don't talk about it a lot. But as creatives, our family and our partners or our spouses are also very important in how we get to lean into our creativity, right? Whether
Mhm.
it's telling us the truth in terms of our ideas, like whether it's something that we can actually make money off of, or babe, I just need you to.
Okay.
Okay. And I love the fact that you mentioned that initially when you started, you held yourself accountable because you know others will hold you accountable. And then that turned into you selling your art. Now you
Mhm.
mentioned about working with big box stores. And that, first of all, yes, ma'am. That is not an easy journey to do. So clearly the talent was there. For those who are interested in working with a big box brand, what was the process? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, sure. So, and that's a great question. And sometimes I feel like my answer is like not. Sometimes I feel like I give the answer and people are like, "Girl," but um, so I'm a woman of faith. So a lot of times I'm always leaning on God. Like, okay, I feel the desire to be in retail spaces, but I don't know if that's your will or how
Hmm.
to even go about doing that. So I'll never forget, like, for me, the advice I would give if you are trying to get into retail spaces is whatever you are creating is to tag that brand. I think I bothered them a lot. And every time I would create new art, post about an illustration that is new in my shop, I'm tagging them. I am tagging them in my stories. I
Hmm.
am DMing them, sending a little quick pitch just to
Hmm.
say, hey, I'm Justine from Winnie Weston. I create art. Da, 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 da. I'd love to work with you. I mean, it really is about like pitching yourself and making sure that you put your art, whatever you're doing, whatever you're creating in front of them. And I think that is what makes you stand out, especially if you can continue to do it. Obviously, I know you can feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to harass them. I do get that. But at the same time, I think they're so used to it that I do think they're okay with that, I would say. And if they're not, they'll block you.
Right.
But usually, honestly, they don't though, because I think they truly are used to it. But how it happened for me is I was just doing that. I use my Instagram and my social media really as a portfolio, so that I can just always shell out my art and have it go to a wide range of people. You know, unless you have an email address, it's hard to send or show people what you created and what you do,
Mm-hmm.
unless you have a direct email address. But on social media, that is one of the only, not the only, but one of the blessings about social media or of social media is the fact that it can get in front of multiple people. Um, so I kept on doing that. And then somebody reached out to me, I think in 2021, and she said, oh, I've been following your art. I really like it. I think it could be great with Target.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, she was like, okay, just tell me like about what you do and who you are, what the brand is about. And so, whenever you have a moment like that, you're giving it all. You create like a little PowerPoint yourself and
Okay, Deck. Okay.
yes, it's like,
See,
okay,
that's that PR background coming in. We know a deck. We
we
know
know
what
it
time
that.
it is. Give them a good 3 to 5 slides, high level, hit them
That's
points,
it.
and you get out.
Yes. And you get out. And that's it. And that's it. And that's what I did too. Like I was like, can I share my screen? Thank you. So they were like, girl. But I did that, and like after the meeting, she was like, okay, well, we're talking to other people, so well, it was right before the holiday time, so she was like, okay, we'll probably hit you up after the holiday time. But after that meeting, I emailed her, did a follow up, sent my media kit, sent a lookbook of like all the products I have.
Gotta work. Gotta
Look,
work. Come on
don't mess
now.
with me.
Come
Don't
on
mess with
now.
me.
Come on, close the loop. Go
Look,
ahead.
okay, look,
Okay.
okay,
All right. You
you gotta keep on.
gotta. Mm-hmm.
Don't mess with me.
Yeah.
So eventually, like right before Christmas, she emailed me and said, "Okay, like we're gonna do a collection with you." Da 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 da. And honestly, that's how it happened. So I always tell people, I get not wanting to share your creativity and your gifts because it's scary, right? There are some people who talk trash about what you do, and then there are people who love you. But it's scary either way. So I do understand that, but at the same time, by sharing your gifts with the world, you just don't know what doors can open. You don't know who will see it and then send it to somebody who sends it to somebody, and then they work for these big retail spaces, or they work for someone who you have been wanting to work with. So that's what I would say. It helps. Like what you do with you having your own podcast. It's like I know it probably was scary for you to start it,
Yeah.
but you never know who will see it. Like an Issa Rae could get a hold of your podcast and be like,
Hi,
okay, sign her to Hooray Media.
you know what? I have that on my personal vision board to have have my podcast underneath the Issa Rae umbrella. I would love that.
What?
Or even like have my podcast underneath the Kevin on Stage umbrella because I admire both of them
Yes. Love
for
both of
their
them.
creativity and they understand the creative process from the ground up. So
Yes.
from your mouth to God's ears, I feel like that's confirmation.
That was because that just came out of
It
nowhere.
really did. Okay, okay, confirmation. Okay, touch and agree. All right.
That
Where the
came out of
collection
just
plate at? Where the collection plate? Take a step back. I'm so corporate at this point. Who have I become?
yes.
But let's take a step back. I love the fact that you were intentional about putting yourself in front of those you wanted to collaborate with. And to your
Mhm.
point, you are right. It is nerve wracking to promote your work, whether it's art, whether it's a podcast, whether it's content on these social channels, because you can't see your
Right.
audience. You just see a number. And that
Right.
number tells you how many people have engaged with it, if they liked it, and if they did not like it at all. And sometimes
Right.
that number can be a bit disheartening because you're like, oh, I only got 200 views, but then you have to put into context. If you were in a room with 200 people, that's a lot of people,
That's
right?
a lot of people.
And then when you got the chance to pitch yourself to these big box brands, you came correct. So a pitch deck, for those who are unfamiliar in the marketing and PR space, a pitch deck is essentially a visual resume outlining highlights of your work. So you'll have a title slide, and please, for the love of crying out loud, use a professional picture
Yes.
for these title slides. Don't use your Instagram picture that is overly filtered. We can tell instantly when you just pulled it from your Instagram.
Yes.
We blow it up on our big screen and we're looking at your deck.
It
We
is
can
super pixelated and
tell all the
yes.
things. And having things like an about me page that
Mhm.
has your picture,
Mhm.
essentially a professional picture, your truncated bio. So it should be about 3 to 5 sentences at the most to
Mhm.
keep their attention. And then the next one are key highlights of your work. This is when you
Mhm.
pull out your best stuff, y'all. You pull out your creme de la creme. You pull out your Renaissance album. You pull out your homecoming album. You pull out
Period.
all the things that make
Mhm.
you the person that they want to work with. And then another thing I love, show them the numbers. And don't just focus on the views. Focus on the engagement. Focus on the clicks. Focus on how people are connecting with your work. Pull out some of those key comments when people are
Mhm.
discussing your work on those social spaces as a highlight section next to that content or that piece that you're choosing to highlight. And then
Mhm.
finally, in the last part of the deck, tell them how you can work with them. Don't give them a chance to come up with ideas. You come with ideas to the table. Come with 3 to 5 highlight ideas and make sure when you're pitching that it aligns with the brand or store that you're talking to. Don't have the idea be so out of the box it does not connect to who they
Yeah.
are, right?
Yep.
And then
Mhm.
at the end of this deck, you finally have the closing area where you have your key socials. Your key
Mhm.
socials are where you're active the most. Don't pull up that new account you still building. This
No.
is not the time to promote your new account. Promote the accounts
No.
where you have the most historical knowledge about your work, where they can
Yeah.
see the evolution, where they can see the growth, where you have the strongest engagement there. And don't focus on the engagement in terms of, I only have 500 followers. But if you have those 500 followers, and every time you post, you're getting at least 300 to 500 views on your videos, you have a highly engaged audience. Focus
Right.
on that and make sure it is clean. That's when we use Canva. That's when we're using
Love
Adobe.
Canva.
That's when we're
Mhm.
using
Love Adobe.
PowerPoint. If you cannot use those platforms, go back to PowerPoint. And when you're
Mhm.
following up in that follow-up email like Justine did, include that deck again because they may have missed key information. And when they're talking about you in the follow up, because we are talking about y'all, just FYI. When
Okay.
we're in those meetings, if you see us looking to the side a little bit, we're in Slack and we're in
Yes.
Teams and we're
You
sending
take a
notes
note.
about our favorites. We're making notes about our favorites. Because essentially,
Oh,
by the time you get to that meeting, Justine, we've already made up our mind who we want to
yeah.
work
Right.
with. And we just have a hit
Mm.
list of who the finalists
Mhm.
are. And from that hit list, we want to pull out maybe 3 to 5 people who are going to make the final cut. So your job
Mhm.
when you go into that meeting, creatives who are listening and watching the podcast, come prepared, come engaged, and come with your receipts. And make sure when you come with your receipts, it looks professional. Have someone look over your work before you present it. You need
Mhm.
to do, honestly, at least 3 to 4 versions of your deck before you have a final version. Do not
Mhm.
present the first version and go with it. Take time at least 2 weeks before your interview. Do your homework about the business. Do your homework about any of their collaborations, and make it sure to tie that engagement in there with anything that you pitch to them and how you talk to them about how you can bring your audience to their store. Okay, I didn't mean to go into like a full
Now you went
marketing.
into professor. I might just be speaking a lot of things into existence
I
because
mean, she is manifesting those things down the line. Like, thought leadership, speaking engagements. Hence why the podcast does exist. It is my proof of performance that I could do something like this. So
yes, exactly.
let's talk about things like licensing. And
Mhm.
if you can explain what licensing is, if you don't, if you don't mind, and what does it mean to license your work? And also, would you recommend this to other artists who are looking to expand their reach outside of maybe like their Etsy shop, to work with like bigger businesses who may want to purchase their artwork to use for their individual collections?
For art licensing, that is where a brand might come to you and they'll either say, "Hey, I like what you've already created. Um, I just want you to kind of change it a little bit for us." Or they might say to you, "Hey, I want you to create something brand new for us," right? So for one brand I've had where they said, "Hey, we like that you've done this already. Can you just recreate that?" And then I've had another brand that said, "Hey, I want you to just create it just, brand new, and that's it." It's really about you not giving your full rights, but you're giving them a part of right to now use that art and to sell it in their store.
Okay.
Now, of course, my sister happens to be a lawyer. So for
Oh,
me, yeah,
well, that's a benefit. That's a benefit right there.
yes, she's a lawyer. Every deal that I've done, she's read over the contract. She'd be like, "Nope, nope, nope, yes, nope, rewrite this, send it."
Come
Like,
on now. Come on, sis.
I'm telling you, I'm so thankful for her. Yeah, with art licensing, it's a cool deal sometimes. Like, for two of my art licensing that I have, one is with Target, one is with iCanvas.
Mm-hmm.
I negotiated a royalty fee. So every time they sell a piece of a product that has my art on it, I get a specific percentage of that sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on one hand, that is great. On the other hand, you get less of the money, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where you have to that's where you gamble, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I were just the person who was like, "Hey, this is my notepad, I created it, and I want to give it to you guys to put on your shelves to sell," I would get I would get more of that money.
Okay.
While there's the pro to that, but then there's the con, because if I buy 20 of these and you put it on your shelf and only like 19 of them sell, I'm in big trouble.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
our licensing is cool because you get to be on the shelf, but you don't have the huge responsibilities that I think some of these other brand owners who are on the shelf do,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just simply giving you permission to, use my art.
Yeah.
So I do like art licensing. I do like it.
And that makes sense because there's a lot of discourse at the time of this recording around Black creatives and Black business owners in alignment with different brands and retailers as rollbacks continue to happen,
Mm-hmm.
in the DEI space. And I did share this on a recent podcast episode using the example of, if you are a beauty owner and you like sell to a retailer 20 lipsticks, right? It is also your responsibility to help move those 20
Mm-hmm.
lipsticks from the shelf, because then if you don't move the product, the first thing they're going to do is discount it, because they
Right.
want to see, okay, if we put it at like a 15% discount, will that move product? And if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, and they do a deeper discount, that's also telling them you don't have what it takes to sell your
Right.
product through in these stores, even if it is, listeners and watchers, a test store. Because sometimes what
Mm-hmm.
they do, we call it a pilot program in marketing, but sometimes they'll
Mm-hmm.
pilot your brand at a store to test it, to see if your
Mm-hmm.
audience will actually come in to buy your product. Because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, the only thing they're going to do is put it on the shelf, and it's your job to get the message out to
Yep.
your followers and to your supporters. But if
Mm-hmm.
that does not work, after your pilot program, that is now proof of performance. Proof of
Mhm.
performance is telling them when we look at the numbers, when we look at how much we discounted, when we look at how much has been returned, there's not
Mhm.
an alignment between us and your business to keep your business on the shelf. And essentially
Mhm.
what happens is that leftover product is then sent back to the
Mhm.
business owner, and often there's a charge or a charge back for taking
Mhm.
that merchandise. And now you have additional merchandise that you have initially sold, you have to pay to take back, and now you have to figure out what to do with that inventory. So it's a lot more nuanced
Mhm.
than the discussions that are happening on social media. Justine, I watch a lot of Shark Tank. I've been watching since.
Look, and that's exactly what it is. And that's why, like what you said, the conversations that are kind of going on in social media right now, I don't think people are watching their Shark
They're
Tank.
not.
Like, they don't understand the how nuanced it is being in a retail space where you are responsible for your product. Like
Mhm.
that is, I think maybe people are thinking about it as if it's more like art licensing,
Right,
or like you're just putting your name to it. And for me, sure, I have a dog in the fight, because if the product doesn't sell, I don't get a royalty, you know, check from it.
right,
But if it doesn't sell, that's a negative for y'all. I
right.
don't, you know what I'm saying? I just don't get anything, but it's a negative for you guys, because now you have to figure out what you're going to do with that product. That's
Hmm.
extra. While for these other brands that are 100% responsible, yeah, it's a different story. And
It
I wish
is.
people don't understand the nuances of it. You
No,
could tell.
and I think also too, as a creative, sometimes that's what we're missing from the conversation when it comes to black and brown creatives, right? We
Hmm.
love to dive so much into living in our art and our creativity. We don't take time to actually learn the business side of things. And that's where a lot of us get messed up, to tell you the
Yep.
truth. Because
Hmm.
while someone may say, in order for you to scale and grow, you got to do this, 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 and this, while that formula may have worked for you,
Right.
that formula may not work for someone else. Me,
Yeah.
while I've owned Pink Dollhouse for officially it'll be 8 years this April, I have grown slowly on purpose because I am learning myself. I am learning what to do, what not to do. And I just recently became trademark this past month. So thank
Yes, that's
you.
amazing.
So Pink
That's
Dollhouse is like
huge.
my baby, and anything that falls under that umbrella due to my trademark, including this podcast, is
Mm-hmm.
protected. But I learn the importance of protecting my work because I listened, I learned, and I studied what was best for me. So
Yeah.
essentially, by you doing what was best for you and giving that example, it makes sense why you have found success in this
Hmm.
field because you're
Hmm.
doing it your way. You
Exactly.
know?
You have to, because like what you said, I do think, especially around that 2020 time where everyone was just at home and was like, let me
Yes.
just go and get an LLC, and let
Yes.
me just, and not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, I was one of them who did it.
But you actually
So,
use yours.
right, I actually used mine. And then also, like, yeah, there's more to it than just, all right, I'm just gonna quit a 9 to 5
Mm-hmm.
and do this. There's a lot to it, and scaling. It's easy for people who are not in business to say, oh my God, well, you should be selling this, you should be doing this, you should do that. It's so easy for them to say that. But in reality, when you are the person, I mean, you are gambling a lot
Yes.
when it comes to scaling too fast
Yes.
and not doing proper research, getting yourself kind of into predicaments that you're like, ooh, I didn't realize that I would
Mm-hmm.
be the sole responsible person. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So I did it my way for sure. And thankfully God also was like, girl, you ain't there yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was like, you not there yet. You love Tabitha too. I love Tabitha too. You not Tabitha. And I'm like, you right. 'Cause, I was like, I'm not there yet, but I am happy with how I have grown, and obviously I'm still growing. I've only been an entrepreneur for like 5 years, so
But
you know,
those are 5 years that you've been putting in the work, though.
yes, it's definitely been 5 years of work, 5 years of pitching, 5 years of growth,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm definitely still growing for sure.
And I love that you talked about that. And so when it comes for those who are solopreneurs or may have a small team, right? Can you share some of the tools that you use for things like managing your finances or maybe working with different clients who want to hire you to do arts or like your workflow systems? Like, what do you use to keep yourself organized?
Yeah, that's a good note. As far as accounting, I do have an accountant, so thankful for her. And we use QuickBooks, and that helps. We use Digits, that
Mm-hmm.
helps too. We use she has her own app, and so we do everything through that. So I would say definitely it's great if you don't know how to do it to hire someone to help you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thankful for her because she she's the type of accountant where she's like, yes, I'm doing this for you, but you need to know as well
Mm-hmm.
what's going on, and you need to know like how this stuff works, you know. Um, and so I think that's important that if you really genuinely don't know how to do something, to ask for help. And if you don't have the money to pay for an accountant per se, then maybe go through your list of people you know and who is good with money, who is good with bookkeeping,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of going into your own community and trying to figure out, okay, who can kind of help me because I don't really have the money to pay a full accountant for my stuff. So we use that for the accounting side and bookkeeping side. As far as me staying organized with my stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely use a lot of Google. So Google Drive, yes, Google Calendar, like Google Tasks, like
Yes.
it's a lot of that. I feel like whenever I try to download, of course I do everything on my iPad. I draw on my iPad, and so I don't know why, but when I download organizers on my iPad
Mm-hmm.
to write things out and keep me organized, I just never. Eventually, I stop opening up those apps
Mm-hmm.
and I go back to old school where I am putting it in my calendar, where I'm writing it down physically as a to do list with
Mm-hmm.
pen to paper. Um, and that helps me. I don't know why I can't, I don't know why in my mind I just don't think to open up the app that's on my iPad to do that. I don't know, but for me it helps to just write it in a notebook and just it's a better system for me. So that's pretty much how I stay organized. Um, I do use Notion sometimes. That also helps with organization. But then sometimes with Notion, I feel like it's very similar to Google products.
Uh-huh.
So I'm kind of like, well, it's kind of the same thing, but it's a little different. Notion's probably a little bit better, but I use stuff like that to kind of keep me organized because I have the art side of my business, but
Mm-hmm.
then I also have the content creation side of it, and that does need a lot of organization, a lot of organizing when it comes to planning out the YouTubes, planning out content for brands that are not connected necessarily to my art.
Got it. And that makes sense. And, I love Google systems because for those who are just starting out in the creative or entrepreneur space, Google is like a less expensive way of building the framework for your business, right? It's a great way to keep track of any documents or like in the case for Coffee with Yvonne. I have two templates set up for the podcast, whether it's for the Marketing Magic episode or the interview episodes, and all of the show notes live in my Google documents to keep me organized. And that Google Calendar, you right, Google Calendar is like my personal assistant. It's like, hey girl, you said you were going to edit your content today. That starts in 15 minutes. I need you to get
Okay.
on that. Okay.
Okay. I'll be like,
If
oh,
you snoozed it
okay.
3 days ago, you snoozed
Right.
it, you know?
Okay.
And I love the fact that you were honest about working with people who are subject matter experts in what they do, like working with an
Yeah.
accountant, working to
Hmm.
understand also still the business side of it. Me, I use my mom a lot. I call her my momager. My mom,
Yes.
fun story, she actually wrote the framework for any client contracts I have for Pink Dollhouse because she is a certified contract specialist in her full time
Ooh.
role. So
Okay now.
my mom was like, first of all, we got to protect you because you my baby. She wrote the entire
That,
template for any
that
client
part.
contracts that I had down to the exclusivity clause
Come
for my contract.
on.
I lied to you not, and I still use
That
that
is not
to
playing.
this day. Shout out to my, thank you, Mama. I love you.
Okay,
Thank
look,
you.
but I think that's like a testament to, again, I think especially now it's so important to like have that community,
Mm-hmm.
and not saying that you're using your community, but I think if you have people who love you, who want to see you win, it is nice to be able to go to them and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. You know, like if you have good people in your life, they will like fight for you hands
Yes.
down. And but sometimes it does take you to say, "Hey, can you help me with this?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we don't want to do that. And I'm one of those people too who's like, I sometimes don't want to ask people, but when you do, when you have good people, they will show up and show out and do stuff like that for you because they want you to be good. They want you to like not all of a sudden be taken advantage of,
Mm-hmm.
and like your mom said, protect you.
Yep.
So yeah, it's important.
It is so important. And to get like too close to the end of our interview, which I'm a little sad that this is
I
happening,
know, we're
honestly,
celebrating too.
having like a good old time. But
Yes,
you talked about how doing things like creating content, right? And I know you have your YouTube channel, which I believe I'm subscribed to that. If not, I'm gonna fix that today.
that's
Uh,
perfect.
you have like your YouTube channel where you create like your lifestyle content. You have your TikTok, aka the Clock app, as well as like Instagram, which I follow you on both. By the
I know
way,
you do. I've been seeing you.
I follow you on both. And I love how you create content that's relatable for your audience. Can you take me through how you come up with those content ideas and also any suggestions that you have for those who are an artist looking to enter the space to promote themselves on social? What recommendations you have for building that connective relationship with your digital audience?
Yeah, that's a great question. Both are great questions. For me, when creating content, especially for my art side of things, um, I like to try to have people come into my life. I think sometimes as an artist or whatever we do, people just see that one side of you
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know the many other sides that you have. So when creating content, I kind of feel like it's like two things that I'm doing. So it's creating content, showing you exactly how I create the content, kind of walking you through a day in the life of an artist and a content creator, showing you how to do something, how to draw it, how to color, as an example. Um, and then on the flip side, I have like, hey, I am also just like a black woman. I'm a woman. I'm a wife. Like, you know what I'm saying? And showing those parts of it and how they intertwine with my passion, which is art. So I would say to an artist who is wanting to grow on social media, I think people like authenticity. They like to know the person behind the brand or the art. And that doesn't always have to be like you posting yourself on your feed. That can sometimes mean you posting yourself more on in your stories,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like using the stories to bring more of a warmness and an authentic, almost like a you get a behind the scenes look.
Yes.
Like if you feel more comfortable in that way, because it's going to delete 24 hours from now. So you're like, okay, I can kind of do whatever I want. So if you don't feel comfortable putting on your feed, definitely stories is a great option. But at least showing people just like like more about you. And to be honest with you, I am still doing that. I'm still, even though yes, my art has been able to grow and land in different places, but I feel like I'm still trying to introduce people or reintroduce people to who I am. And we evolve too.
Mm-hmm.
So at least introduce them to my current self, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's helpful. Also, just posting your art a lot, whether it's the process of you making art, the process of you thinking about what you want to create. I think people are interested in, wow, how did she create that?
Mm-hmm.
Or how did she think of that? Or what was the inspiration behind that? I think that helps as well.
Yeah, and I like how you were breaking down the different channels because I think sometimes we get caught up on the channels themselves and
Yeah,
think that, okay, if I show up this way in this channel, I have to show up this way all the time. Like you
right.
said, your content can evolve. Who I
Mhm.
started out with when I took that overfilter selfie when Instagram first launched back in the back day, I think it was like 2017, 2015, whatever, is not the same Yvonne
Totally
I
different.
am now. First of all, when I look at that selfie now, I was like, girl, first, why were you doing that bouffant? That was wrong. You shouldn't have done that. But keeping that in mind too, when I'm creating my channel, similar to you, I make sure Yvonne on my personal page is Yvonne on that
Right.
page. But when I shift over to Pink Dollhouse on
Hmm.
Instagram, there's a different voice. It's more business
Right.
centered, right?
Right.
And even on my personal page, I do leverage my stories a lot more to give people a more sneak peek of my day to day life. Sidebar, Justine, people love seeing my mama pop up on my stories.
I
I
love seeing her too.
highest engagement when my mama pop. I said, "Watch, it's gonna get a whole bunch of views." They're
I'm
gonna be like,
telling
"Hey,
you.
mama," but then when it's just me, they're like, "Hey, so where's your mom? Is she coming back?" And by doing like using my stories, I started to, I think when I started traveling more for work, I was like, I'm not going to bore people with like a bunch of day to day recaps on my feed. Let me talk to them
Right.
through my stories. And people started loving following along, seeing the behind the scenes
Hmm.
of my day to day life when I'm on work travel
Yes.
and seeing me do
Hmm.
my thing in those spaces,
Yes.
to the point now when they see a plane in any of my stories, I'm like, oh,
Where you
where we
going
going?
now?
What
Where we
we,
going
is
now?
this
We flying.
vacation?
We get flew out. Right.
Is this
Right.
a work trip? What we doing?
Right. And where mama at? Is she
Okay.
with you?
And the one time, I lie to you not, I think we were in, where were we? Where was mom and I? I think we were in Rome a couple of years ago
Mm.
for a
Hmm.
family trip. And I forgot to post one day on my stories. I got so many DMs. So did we leave? Are we still in Rome? Where's
They following
Right. They're like,
you.
where's our content? You ended with dinner. It's breakfast right now. Like, what's going on? I'm like,
What's going? Did y'all visit the
yeah,
statue?
like
What's going
what are we
on?
doing? And I said to my mom, I was like, Mom, I gotta sit down. She's like, why? I said, I gotta post on my stories because they're a little upset that it's day 3 of our trip and they only got day 1 through 2. So, so give me a
They
minute.
like,
Like she said, oh, okay. And that really has opened up me a lot more to showing up as my authentic self. Because before,
right.
I had such anxiety around
Hmm.
social media and showing up as my full self because I didn't know if
Right.
people would accept that side of me. And by talking more authentically, like you mentioned on my platforms, it actually increased my engagement where people, even on the street, and this has happened before, will walk up to me and say, I know you. And like, okay. They're like, I follow you on TikTok. I'm like, wow, that's weird, but thank you
Okay,
so much.
girl. Right. Right. Right.
And it allows for me to, like what we're doing, connect with my digital audiences in an authentic
Yes.
way. And I just love what you're doing, because while you said, I think you said in a recent post that you don't get the same engagement on Instagram when you show more your personal side. I think you said something like that you do on
Yes.
TikTok. Just know your audience on TikTok and the audience you're building on YouTube do love that side
Right.
of you. We
Right.
love seeing Justine. I
I'm
love the
realizing
trips. I
that.
love the road trips. I
We
love
be on the
when you're like
road.
drawing. I love when you're doing just regular everyday girl stuff. I love seeing that
Yes.
side of you. But then when I go over to Instagram, I love seeing your art and the finished product.
And
I love it.
I'm realizing that, and I'll never forget one time I did a story on TikTok, and I talked about how difficult it's been feeling like my my art page, when I was trying to, at that time I was trying to kind of meld them together, like do the personal and the art in the same page. And I'll never forget, I was talking about the frustrations of like, oh, my numbers are going down, da da da. And I'll never forget, you were like, well, number one, people will find you. Like sometimes you got to lose to get people who are exactly where, who want to see this, your content, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you said, but however, you can also just do it on your personal page. And I had kind of been asking my husband and a friend of mine and different people in my life, like, okay, do you think I should create another page? Do you think I should use my old page? Like, because I think people just want to see the art, and I do understand that.
Mm-hmm.
At first I was upset, but now I do get like, yeah, sometimes you just want to see the art. I don't really care about what you're cooking today. Like,
Right.
and so when you said that, and then talking to the other people in my life, I was like, okay, you know what? I'll go back to doing just my art on my art page and utilizing my stories to kind of give the behind the scenes of me a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but really utilizing my personal page for my content
Yes.
that deals with lifestyle and marriage. So I have to thank you for that, because I'll never forget. You were like, yeah, you were like, it was great because you kind of gave me the two options. You were like, number one, they'll find you, so don't worry. But
Mm-hmm.
if you do want to separate, your personal page is also something you can utilize. And I was like, so if you notice, I I've stopped posting like my lifestyle content on my art page.
Mm-hmm. And I do notice,
Yeah.
because I notice the people I follow intentionally, and I follow you
Mhm.
intentionally, because I just love your artwork so much. But I like you as a person, so I follow you on all the things.
Right.
And I just love the fact that even though art is the intent for the one page, I still feel your personality through your art. I see
Right.
you through your
Hmm.
art, and I enjoy that about your creativity. Hence why, like I said again, I
Yes,
support the things. Okay.
we do.
And
And we thank
also,
you for
first of all, Justine, let me tell you this. I was fighting for my life when I bought that, because I went and I hit them Google so fast. I said, where can I find it? Where is it located? I said, one left. Got my purse expeditiously, hopped in the front skirt, pulled up, and went looking
Woo!
for it and bought the things off the shelf. I was like, because my girl
Thank
gonna get these
you.
sales today.
Yes. And I appreciate y'all so much. And when I tell you, I was like nervous because, you never know.
Yeah.
Like, people can support you, but that doesn't always mean that they put money behind the support.
Hmm.
And so I was really nervous because I was like, "Oh, well, I hope it works. I don't know." Like,
No, it was
and
perfect. It was perfect.
yes, it sold out to the point where, I mean, by the beginning of February, it was gone,
Yeah.
that was the main time it was supposed to be in the store. And so I remember thinking to myself, man, they should have ordered
For my
more.
last question, before we get into our quick fire, what is
Hmm.
next for the Winnie Weston brand? What's next?
Man, oh my gosh. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of in a space where I'm like, I don't even know what's
That's
next.
okay.
I mean, to be honest, I truly do love working with brands. I know it's a little tricky
Yeah. Uh huh. Uh huh.
now, especially,
Uh huh.
but I do love working with brands, especially specifically the brands who are in support
Yes.
of us.
Yes.
So I would love to do more of that. I don't know. I love the fact that with working with brands, obviously I'm building my own brand, but I do love the fact that there are some people who would never have known about me until they saw a brand talk about me or have my art in a store. So I do love that because there are some young girls who are able to see themselves and to see a future version of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and they may not, they're in like Wyoming, they would have never stumbled upon me possibly. So hopefully more working with more brands who are aligned with me, um and my art and my mission. I will be Goldman Sachs. They have a program for Black women, and I think it's like black one in a million Black women or something like that. So I will be doing that program that starts in March and it ends in
Yay!
June. Yes, I'm
You
so
so good,
excited. I'm
Coco.
so
So
thankful.
good, Coco.
Yes. I'm so thankful for the opportunity and to, it's school. You're definitely going to be learning. And I think that's great for me. I've never taken an official business course as a business owner. I've taken it kind of like undergrad, but not as an official business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that I am in a cohort with a bunch of Black women who are business owners. So honestly, I feel like I am open to just the possibilities of it
Mm-hmm.
all, and where to go next.
Those are all the questions for our interview. Now we're going to do the quick fire questions. Now,
Okay, let's go.
mind you, Justine, this is top of the dome. I will not judge you. If your answer does not align with what I think the best answer is, okay, I will
Okay.
not judge you. Okay. All right. In your opinion, who is the best rapper or singer of all time? And you can choose rapper and singer, or this person can live in both worlds. It's up to you.
Oh my. Okay. Singer, not performer. Singer.
Singer, yes.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna have to go with Whitney.
I agree with you. I
Yes.
agree.
Whitney, like if you're talking performer, Beyonce, I mean Michael and Beyonce, hands down.
Hands down.
Hands
Easy.
down.
Easy.
But if
Easy.
we're talking about, I love Beyonce's voice, but the effortlessness of
Yes.
Whitney, the tone, the
Yes.
range.
Yes. Wait. Let me ask this follow-up question. What is your favorite Whitney song? I have mine. What's yours?
Mine is "You Give Good Love."
Okay.
Yeah, that's my song. I love that song.
Okay. Mine is Dance with Somebody.
Oh, yes, that it always gives like just the
Uh-huh.
high
Like,
energy, good energy.
uh-huh.
Like I
Uh-huh.
love that song. Yes,
I
that's
love
my
it
other
too.
one.
I love it. And then do you want to pick a rapper or you just want to stick with singer?
I'll pick a rapper. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. I probably would say
For you.
for me,
Okay.
I probably would say Jay-Z. I don't know. I have a lot of his stuff and it just feels so good. Period. Okay. Okay.
I agree. I
Okay.
agree.
Yes. It's like he just really, it's cute stuff, but then it's like it's a good mix. You know what I mean?
First of all, Jay-Z was the one who told me a long time ago, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man.
Man.
And
Period.
that when I tell you I sat in my own stuff, I said, hold up now.
Okay. Let me really think about that.
You're right. Cause I'm not a businessman or businesswoman. I'm a business, comma, man.
Okay.
And that quote sticks with me every time because you got to think about the business side of it.
Yep.
So I agree with you.
Yes.
Okay. Next
Mhm.
question. you discovered you have magic powers. You're on your Harry Potter-ish, right? You woke up, got your letter to Hogwarts. The owl done came through the window. Your mama asking who this owl and who these
Mm-hmm.
people, right?
Mm-hmm.
What powers do you have?
Oh my gosh. I would say if I could read people's minds, I definitely would.
Mm-hmm.
If I could do, what is it called where you can tell, where you could be one place and
Oh,
then
teleport?
teleport.
Yeah.
And also, if I could like just make endless money, my husband's gonna be
Okay.
like, "You always talk about money." But honestly, if I could do that and then just like give it to people who are in
Mm.
need, that would be a great one too. Because I think there's so many people who really are in need and they just don't have it like that. So I think that would be great. I don't know, like. I don't know. There's so many things, but I think those would be like the top ones. I don't know. What would you say?
But I agree with you because a lot of creatives that I interview on the pod, a lot of them say teleport and read
Yeah.
people's minds. Because I think for us, it's like we're so sensitive about our ish when it comes to our work. We just want to know what people are thinking
Yeah.
because sometimes people will tell you what you want to hear and not what you need to know,
Right.
essentially. And then last but not least, with teleport, we have so much stuff going on because as creatives,
Yeah.
sometimes we don't know when to sit our butt down
I
and
know.
just
It's a
be,
lot.
you
Yes.
know? So
Yeah.
teleporting will allow us to do all the things we need to do and
Yes.
get it done
Yes.
efficiently and be on time. Because while I am on time, I
Right.
lie to myself to be on time.
Right. You'd be like, okay, 3 o'clock when it's like really 5. Yeah.
Right. Yes, I do that
That's what I do.
So I have to be there by 5, which means I need to start getting ready by 3, which means I need to wake up from my nap by 2. Really
Period.
1:30 because I'm going to hit that snooze alarm,
Right.
and
Really
then
want
I'm
to.
going to go in my closet and not like what I picked out to wear. So now I'm going to
Oh.
struggle with that.
Right. It's like a whole. That's why when my husband and I we go out and I'll be like, okay, tell me when do I need to be in the car? Because I got to work back from that. Okay. Like, don't be telling me, no, I need you to tell me the real one so I can really plan. Like, I have to.
Yes,
You
creators, we
know?
are the worst people when it comes to like either we got it down where we know how to lie to ourselves, or we're just habitually late to everything, and that's
Yes.
my like that's fine. We're habitually late to everything, so it's just how it is. But
Yeah.
anywho, and then last but not least, if you were a coffee, what kind of coffee would you be?
Oh my gosh. I would be an iced coffee. Oh my gosh. I would be medium roast.
Ooh, medium brown.
Medium roast.
Okay,
I'd be
medium brown.
medium. Medium. I would be caramel, caramel pumps, some caramel
Okay,
pumps up in there. Okay. And then I would do a French vanilla or a caramel
the little drizzle.
creamer.
Yeah.
Creamer. I probably will put some. Well, no, it's cold. It's cold. It got to be sweet. It has to be sweet. Not
Okay.
overly sweet, but it has to be sweet enough.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it. An iced coffee will do it for me every time
Every
with
time.
some sugar and a creamer every time.
Every time. Well, you know what, y'all? We have been talking for so long that my light actually went out. That tells you the conversation was that good on
Yes.
this podcast. So, thank you so much, Justine, for joining me for coffee.
Oh,
How can people find out more about you and your platform? Tell them where to find you, sis. Tell them where to find
oh yes,
you.
yes, yes. You can find me on Instagram and Threads. That's at Winnie.Weston. WINNIE dot Weston, WESTON. You can also find me on TikTok. I am Winnie.Weston on there as well. And then you can find me on YouTube, and that's at Winnie Weston, no dot in there, but just Winnie Weston. Um, And that's pretty much it. I think that's all the platforms that I'm on. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on that's Winnie Weston LLC, I do
Mm-hmm.
believe. So if you just look up Winnie Weston, you can find me on all of those platforms.
Period.
If you want to shop my products and my art, that's winnieweston.com. Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Yes, and I love the brand consistency with the name because I even had to check myself. I was like, "Girl, we need the same name across platforms.
Right,
We
Colleen.
can't keep changing these handles. Keep it consistent, girl." I had to
Yes,
gag myself too.
yes, yeah.
Well, I hope for those who are listening and watching, I hope you enjoyed today's chat. Don't forget to follow Coffee with Yvonne on IG and Threads at Coffee with Yvonne. You can sign up for my newsletter on Substack to get personalized audio and video content, Coffee with Yvonne podcast episodes, and marketing breakdowns for your favorite campaigns by visiting the show notes. For my personal account, you can find me on IG and TikTok, aka the Clock app, also on Fanbase at Yvonne_creative marketer. Then finally, my last thing for social media promotion. To learn more about me and my business, go ahead and visit pinkdollhousemarketing.com. Or you can follow my business page on Instagram at Pink Doll House Marketing. You can slide into my DMs. That's cool. And I cannot wait to chat with you soon. Sis, this was so much
I
fun.
know. We have to do this again.
Yay! We have to do it again. And when you're in town next time, hit me up. Let me know.
I
We
will.
can
I'll
go for real
definitely hit
coffee.
you up. Yes, we will
I
get some
like you in
coffee.
real life. All
Amen.
right. I can't wait to chat with you soon.
Okay,
Okay,
bye.
bye.
Coffee with Yvonne is produced and edited by Yvonne Pearson. Coffee with Yvonne is created by Pink Doll House Marketing. You can catch the latest episodes by subscribing to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.